All right, welcome to Dumb Guys Talk About Fantasy Baseball. In this episode, we're doing deep sleepers. What did you call them?
Value picks.
Value picks.
Yeah.
We're doing picks basically after 250, or if you're me, 249, or later.
Yeah.
But before we get started on that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, support the Dumb Guys. We're putting out at least 2 videos on fantasy baseball per week. That's on Wednesdays and Sundays. We got a whole bunch of other things going on.
Yes, and Saturdays my wife and I do Brazilian American videos because she moved here from Brazil. And I think we're doing lots of Brazilian food. I think we might be mixing in more vlogging. Thinking about getting a GoPro, see if that happens.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. So look for those videos, and those are the ones that'll go on throughout the year.
That's right. And just remember to comment on these videos. Let us know what you want. We're willing to, experiment and do other types of videos based on your recommendations. So we want to hear that, and we want to get the conversation going. So go ahead and comment, and why don't we get started?
All right. So my first pick after number 250, I use Yahoo rankings, is Jedd Gyorko. Yahoo is 272. And this is the type of guy I like to have on my bench because he's got flexibility at 3 spots: second base, third base, and first base. 2 straight years of over 20 home runs. 2 straight years of over 800 OPS. Last year he added 6 stolen bases as well. And I think this guy just gives you that flexibility. If you've got him there, you can put him in a utility spot, like a corner infield or middle infield spot if you've got those in your league, or stick him on your bench and wait for one of those hard to replace positions, in case one of those guys gets hurt on your team. So I think there's just lots of potential there to fill good spots and have flexibility on your team.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of hype with Gyorko a couple of years ago, and he never really panned out, but he has stepped it up the past couple of years.
Yeah,
so
he just had to get out of the San Diego. He's with the Cardinals now.
Right, yeah. So good option. Good option there. Deep. Okay, first guy I've got, this is a guy I was actually just talking to you about a couple days ago because he was traded to the Pirates from Tampa Bay, and that's Corey Dickerson. Now, technically he's at 249, but I took him anyways as an option. 24 home runs 3 of the last 4 years. The only year he didn't hit 24 home runs, he hit 10 home runs in 65 games, so I think he was hurt that year. Decent batting average and OPS at 280 and 829 lifetime, so that's a pretty good option off your bench. Could be a nice fill-in if one of your outfielders gets hurt, or you just need to switch things out for a little while. I think he's a good option. Yeah,
and I think the Pirates are selling, but they still got some good hitters to put around this guy. And I think that ballpark is more friendly to lefties than righties, so I don't think his stats will go down.
Yeah, I think it actually affects one of your guys because I think you were counting on Bell maybe getting some outfield play.
Yeah, so Bell probably will stay at first base.
Probably will be a first baseman, yeah.
All right, so my second guy later on, Travis d'Arnaud. This D with the apostrophe guy.
Yeah.
Yahoo's ranked
the apostrophe guy.
Yahoo's ranked 282. In 2015, we had a really good sample size. It wasn't quite a full season, but he tore it up, had a nice home runs. Everybody thought he's going to be great. He had a nice minor league career. Now he's been recovering from injuries for a couple of years. But he came back last year. He hit 16 home runs. It wasn't a full season. I don't know if I had put 16 home runs, only 348 at bats. So if he's able to get 150 or so more at bats, like a lot of catchers do, he'd probably be pushing 20. The bad thing is his on base percentage was only 293 last year.
Wow,
pretty bad,
really low.
But the minor league history, previous year's history, suggests that could very well go up next year.
Who's he playing for these days?
The Mets.
The Mets. Okay.
Yeah, they avoided arbitration with him this year. And I just like to have some really late catchers so I don't freak out as catchers disappear.
Catchers are going to disappear very quickly because, you mentioned this in our last video. Sanchez is going around the 3rd round, 4th round.
Yeah.
He's by far the best catcher available. The next guy is like Contreras, who knows what he's going to be. Or Posey,
who's down to 12 home runs last year.
Yeah, I like Posey, but he doesn't have the power numbers. I don't know. But I think that's a good option. There's a lot of catchers pretty deep.
Yeah, there are.
And I've got one on my list that I'll get
our
to.
first sleepers video, I mentioned another one on the Phillies.
Yeah. Okay, my number 2 after the 250 is Felix Hernandez, ranked at 260. This is a guy that kind of fell off the face of the earth the past couple of years. Not great, but he's been one of the best pitchers over the last decade. And so I actually just read he's healthy. He's back. He feels good. And you know what? If he gets back at all close to what the kind of pitcher he was just 3 or 4 years ago, he could be a huge steal at pitcher this deep in the draft.
Yeah, if he feels healthy, maybe I'll be looking to steal him from you.
Yeah, stay away.
Oh, okay. All right, so here's a guy I teased in our last video. That's Tim Beckham on Baltimore. He's ranked 323 Yahoo. Last year he had 22 home runs, stole 6 bases, possibility for more because he had some minor league seasons with over 20, but it's also kind of offset by the Orioles just don't really steal bases that much. So kind of you could hope for more, I guess. But part of the reason of Machado moving to shortstop is to let this guy play full-time at third base. And this guy's always been regarded as a top talent. He was taken #1 overall in the Major League draft, and the guys that went after him were like Eric Hosmer and Buster Posey.
Wow.
So this guy's finally getting some full-time playing time in the majors, showing some power. I think he's got a lot of potential. And clear down at 323, you could fill shortstop or third base with this guy.
Yeah.
That's bench player level.
Good option.
Yeah.
Good option. All right, number 3 for me, Dylan Betances, down at 261. I mean, 15-plus strikeouts per 9 innings the past 2 seasons. Look, he's not going to get you any saves unless Chapman goes down and Robertson gets traded, but... Yeah. But you know what? If you need strikeouts and you just need to plug someone in there for strikeouts, he's a good option. He gets into about 70 games a year. So, I like that.
Yeah, or he's a good, punting saves option.
Yeah.
If that's your strategy, it's to not waste picks on closers because that's one stat.
Right.
This guy gets you the innings. Or some leagues I've heard it's becoming more and more common, have holds.
Yeah, right.
So maybe a good option there. Now, my 4th guy here, ranked number 330 Yahoo, Brandon Crawford. Giants bias showing up.
Yep.
One thing I like about him is for the amount of at-bats he's had, for the amount of home runs, and how far he bats down the orders, he's always had a lot of RBIs. He's had 84, then a down year 77, and everyone on the Giants had a down year last year.
Yeah.
But I think as the lineup improves, and as he gains confidence, he's right about 30 years old. He's got a nice left-handed swing. I think pushing 90 home runs and 90 RBIs, not 90 home runs.
That would be a good year.
That would be a really good year. 90 RBIs and 20 home runs isn't out of the question at all. He's had a year of 21 home runs before. Better lineup than I think he's ever batted in for a long time. He will not give you stolen bases, and this is a position where you sometimes look for stolen bases. But I think this is a good option. Say if you have injury concerns with your shortstop, say like a Trey Turner, who did miss time with injury last year. Or I think he's a good option if you take Machado and you have to wait a couple weeks for him to get shortstop eligibility.
Yeah, right.
But plug him in till you can move Machado from third to short.
Yeah,
right. So or bench.
Yeah, bench. Nice option. Okay, number 4 for me. This is my catcher, Jonathan Lucroy, at 269. He's currently unsigned right now. But last year, he was one of the top-rated fantasy catchers. He didn't pan out. I know he was ranked number 1 or number 2.
A lot of people were high on him because they thought that he'd excel going to Texas, but he did not.
Yeah, and he got traded to Colorado halfway through the season, and he did well in Colorado. Surprise, surprise. So the thing here is that he could get picked back up by Colorado.
Yeah.
And if he does, I think that's a good option to pick this guy up, stash him on your bench he could be your backup catcher or whatever it is, and see if he goes back to Colorado and see if he becomes a more valuable fantasy option at catcher.
Yeah, I think if I hear he goes to Colorado, I may be more encouraged to wait on catcher.
Yeah. Right. And stop eyeing my list.
Oh, geez. This is a guy this guy actually considered, but like I mentioned in the last video, I have a hard time ranking guys that don't have teams yet.
Yes.
I try to really avoid it.
It is really tough.
Yeah.
Right. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
definitely. So my 5th one is Cameron Maybin. He's ranked 339 on Yahoo. The Marlins just picked him up. So he's basically going to be filling that outfield that was amazing last year, but everybody left. The Stanton, Yelich, Ozuna outfield. So last year he had a shortened season, but he had 33 steals, 10 home runs, and only 395 at-bats. He only hit 228, but the year before he hit 315. This guy's had 40 steal seasons in the past. He was one of the guys included in the Miguel Cabrera trade because he's always been considered a top talent. I heard a lot of people saying they think he'll be 15 home runs, 30 steals next year. And I think I would rather take this guy this late than Billy Hamilton.
Yeah. Because
Billy Hamilton's a steals only. I think this guy will hit better than Billy Hamilton, honestly. And maybe not the 50 steals Hamilton will get, but 30 to 40.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing for him to do but pad his stats in Miami right now.
Any excuse not to pick up Billy Hamilton, dude. I picked him up last year thinking, what a great weapon for stolen bases. Yeah. And he was nothing but a deterrence to my offensive stats.
Yeah, and I like having a guy like this on my bench because I can look at the matchup, and if I think I can beat the guy in stolen bases, I can stick him into a utility spot. Mm-hmm. And then have another guy like a power hit with some pop, like a Scooter Gennett, I can put in instead if I need more home runs.
Right.
To beat whoever I'm playing in weekly matchup leagues.
Yeah, head-to-head stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, my number 5 is Yonder Alonso. Yonder at 270. Now, he was playing for Oakland last year, got traded to the Mariners, I believe. Combined, hit 28 home runs, not too bad, 866 OPS. Problem that we had with him last year is he fell off in the second half. If he can maintain that first half production through an entire season, could be very valuable. I think he's a first baseman.
Yeah. He was a guy I picked up on the waiver wires, would plug in if somebody got hurt, then drop him again. So that's kind of how I used him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Could be a good guy to stash, though.
Yeah. All right. My next one is Steven Matz. He's ranked 349 Yahoo. And like Felix Hernandez, he's a guy that's spent a couple years recovering from Tommy John surgery. But supposedly he's going into this year feeling really good. Most every player says that, of course, coming into spring training. But I kind of believe it here. And the Mets have a great rotation. I think they're going to improve this year. I think that he could get some nice wins. He's always been like a 9 strikeouts per 9 innings type guy. And going clear back at 349, he's a great one to have to swap in and out of your rotation as he's got good matchups.
Yeah.
Or, like, if he does great, maybe he stays in your rotation.
It's one of that patented deep pitcher guys that you like to look at.
Yeah, it is.
All right, next guy on my list, number 6 on my list, Ryan Mcmahon. This is a young first baseman, plays for Colorado. Obviously, that's a bonus right there. Let's see. Batted .355 with a .986 OPS, 20 home runs in the minors last year. Dominated in AAA. He's likely going to make the opening day roster for the Rockies. The only problem is he might not be a full-time first baseman. He might platoon at first base, depending on what kind of a start he gets off to. He can also play second and third, though. I think this guy's a great option to stick on your bench. Could be Rookie of the Year candidate.
Could be. And I think I'd say with that watch to make sure the Rockies don't re-sign Carlos Gonzalez. Because I think what happens there is if Cargo leaves, Ian Desmond will go to the outfield. If not, Ian Desmond may stay on the infield and hurt this guy's playing time.
Yeah.
Because Ian Desmond played a lot of first base last year.
Yeah. He platooned, though, with Reynolds last year.
Yeah.
So he could be the platoon. But again, if this is their young star, this is the guy they want to take over first base. So if he gets off to a hot start, he's going to be the guy probably. Yeah. So.
All right. So number 7 I've got here for after 250. And this one requires a little homework. That's Bud Norris. He's ranked 351 on Yahoo. And the reason it requires a little homework is that you got to watch the Cardinals and see who wins the closer spot. He's going to compete with Luke Gregerson, who left the Astros. But I think there's a good chance Bud Norris wins it. And if he does win it, so he had 19 saves for the Angels last year, 10 strikeouts per 9. He's eligible for starting pitcher and relief pitcher in Yahoo. And that could give you some interesting options.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So you could have an extra closer in your lineup in a starting pitcher spot. Just to be out of sync if you're against a guy that went crazy on pitching, like Kershaw, those types of guys that take pitching way early.
You're not going to win. And
you're not going to win the starting. You could stick this guy in and make sure you beat him in saves.
Yeah. Right. That's an interesting option. I always go the other way where I take a starting pitcher who's got relief pitcher eligibility and slot it in. Yeah. And so I've got, 5 starters instead of 4, but I toss saves out the window.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting option. I've got a pitcher at my number 7 here. Could be a closer if he doesn't play for the Yankees. That's David Robertson. And I heard a little talk that, if the Yankees are trying to get below the salary cap or trying to make some moves, they could trade David Robertson to a team looking for a closer, and he can step into a closer role. This is a guy who's got a 12 strikeouts per 9 inning lifetime, and he's been a closer before, and he was pretty successful at it. He closed for the Yankees after Mariano Rivera retired, and he went to the White Sox? I think it was the White Tigers. White Sox or Tigers, I don't know. Went to one of those teams. I think it was the White Sox, and he closed there too before the Yankees got him back. So I think this guy, not that I want to lose him because I think he's great, leading up to our closer, but if it happens, he's a good guy to keep your eye on. Yeah,
definitely. And it's good to have some deep closers in your back pocket because like half the closers lose their job a lot of times. Yeah. And so like maybe this guy takes over somebody's spot.
Well, and that's why he might bring some trade value as well to the Yankees mid-season. So you never know.
All right. So where are we at? Number 8. I've got a high upside guy. That's Matt Chapman. He's ranked 252 on Yahoo. He's the A's third baseman. So last year he had 14 home runs in the majors and 16 more in the minors. The year before that, he hit 36 home runs in the minors as a combination of AA and AAA. But no walks, low 230s batting average at every level. But he just continued the same thing in the majors, and those guys seem to be succeeding right now. The low batting average, high home run guys, say you're talking Joey Gallo, Olsen, Bellinger, Judge. Those guys, they come to the majors and their average actually goes up from what it was in the minors, mysteriously. So, I think this guy, like I hate to say this year's Judge or this year's Bellinger because those guys were kind of rookies that you don't get every year.
Anomalies.
Yes, but this guy could be a rookie of the year. Well, if he didn't get too many at-bats, not to qualify, but he could be your breakout of the year type candidate. And I think the A's will give him every opportunity to succeed. The only thing is I heard he hurt his hand a little bit already in spring training. He's getting some cortisone shots, but sounds like he had an MRI and it's not serious. So keep an eye on that. Super late third baseman that could give you some power.
Nice. Okay. What are we on, 8? Mm-hmm. Number 8 for me is Joe Mauer, going down at 320. This is a former MVP. And what I was thinking about him, he had kind of a nice bounce back year last year. He batted 305, had an 801 OPS. You're not going to get, the 28 home runs or whatever that he hit in his MVP season. But if you need to fill a hole in your lineup for a short while, why not have a guy who could bat 300 with an 800 OPS, just to get you by? It was hard to pass by a former MVP, at this level.
Yeah. It's a waiver wire guy.
Yeah.
All right. My 9th one is Patrick Korbin. He's 275 on Yahoo. And the Humidor is coming to Arizona, so it might help this guy out. And this guy had a really good season back in 2013.
Yeah.
And is recovering from Tommy John ever since.
Yep. That's the year I picked him up off waivers, and he was great.
Yeah. And but last year he had 14 wins and 8.4 strikeouts per 9. So I think he's recovering from Tommy John very nicely, showing some consistency there. And at 275, this is a great, matchups or see if he wins a spot in your rotation type of guy.
Yeah, he was up and down last year. I had him for a little while on my roster. He had a good start, and then he had a bad start, a good start, and a bad start.
Yeah.
He hasn't been the same since that 2013 season, but I know he's got good stuff. And so if he ever pulls it back together, he's definitely going to be a good option. Yeah,
and with the Humidor news, Zach Godley's a guy I'm really targeting, but he's a little higher than 250. But this guy's way late, and we have to see if that Humidor really helps the Arizona pitchers out.
Right. Okay, number 9 on my list. This is a guy I mentioned before. I mentioned him, I think, in our first Sleepers video, and I'll probably talk about him more in later videos because he's a Yankee. It's Gleyber Torres. He's back from injury. He's feeling good. The Yankees had their first spring game today. He was man in second base. He's basically second base is his to lose it. Yeah. This is their top prospect, and I think he makes the team, and I think he's going to be solid.
Yes, and actually I saw him, and I was like, Barry's going to have him on his list, so I don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, you knew.
Yeah, I called it. All right, so my grand finale, and this is a guy that's not going to start the season on the team. It's Carlos Rodon, Rodon. Tell me how to pronounce that. He's ranked 285, but he's throwing off the mound right now, but they're going to be super cautious with him because the White Sox aren't expected to contend, so they may hold off on actually pitching him in the majors till June. But he's always had a projection to be an ace someday. At least 9 strikeouts per 9 at every level. Minor leagues, major leagues, everywhere. Look at your league's DL rules, and if you don't get other players hurt and you have DL spot, you could grab this guy, stick him in your DL spot, wait for him to be your second half ace.
Yeah. I mean, you can grab him right away, right? Because he's going to be on the DL to start the season. Put him on your DL, and if someone gets hurt, just drop him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good strategy. Okay, my grand finale, my last guy, number 10 here, Ivan Nova. The reason I put Ivan Nova on the list is because this guy saved me in the beginning of the season last year because one of the pitchers I drafted was hurt, and he was having a great first half. In the first half last year, 3.21 ERA, a 1.09 WHIP, 9 wins. Not a lot of strikeouts, and he really fell off towards the end of the season. But he used to pitch for the Yankees, and I know he's got some talent. He just can't seem to pull it together for a full season. So maybe a good spot starter for you.
Yeah. All right, so there's our list.
There's our list.
Yeah, no, that's some deeper guys for you. We're only in a 10-team league typically, just because it's easier to manage the amount of people in that league. But if you're in those 12 teams, 14 teams, 15 team type leagues, you got to know all about this area, and it helps for everyone because you're going to be great in your last couple picks of your draft. You're going to be in king of the waiver wires.
That's right. Yep.
All right. That's what makes champions.
Yep. Straight on.
See you.
Ciao, guys.